We're on.
Hello.
Hello. This is our Toolhouse podcast. Welcome, everybody. Orlando, how are you?
I'm very, very excited. I don't know why. I'm very happy. I'm here with
Great.
you doing a podcast, telling the world about what we learned.
Yes. All right. Yes, very excited. Today we can talk about what we learned about our experience with the community, building for the community, building the community, and our latest events. Like we had hackathons, we had in-person events, and it's always a great occasion to understand where do we stand with our value proposition. Um, what happens after people sign up for Toolhouse and start using it, and what's ahead for the future. So we'll give you a little rundown of what happened in the past week or so. Feels like 3 weeks for me, um, but it's been great, to be honest. So um, here in the Bay Area, specifically in SF, things are great, hectic. Like the AI scene can only happen here, nowhere else. And there's a lot of interest, and it feels sorry, ATX, but
I mean, it's true. It's true. I cannot say that we are as fast-paced or as excited as the Bay Area in general. So,
but
yeah.
but that's great to learn and hear, because there's maybe some skepticism. There's like some propensity to just like take things with a pinch of salt. Here instead is we want to get in the thick of it. We want to understand everything, and then out of all the information we have, pick and choose the one we can use to make our product, our life better. There's more of it, like intellectual stimulation, if you will, in just attending a conference or a demo, or just looking at other people's products. Like this
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
Monday, I spoke at the Agentic AI Summit,
Yeah.
and I had the pleasure of hosting Jerry Wu from Illuminate, the CEO of Illuminate, and Ido Gino, who's the former founder
Yeah.
of Rapid API. And that was a very well attended panel. The feedback we received after the panel was that that was a very informative session, because we went down to really the basics of AI. Like today we talk about agents, just like last year we talked about co-pilots. What's going to happen next year, and what's going to happen 5 years from now? So it would be obviously great to read into the future, but if you know the building blocks, the key ingredients of an agent today, you start to better understand what's needed 2 years from now or 5 years from now for those agents to actually be helpful and productive on behalf of humans. So that was the kind of mind and mood set, mindset and mood around the SF scene.
Right.
That's why we have like a lot of great events. We had a hackathon over the weekend, and it was a fantastic hackathon where people wanted to build with AI fast. And one of the things we did at the hackathon was really just be supportive. And I think one thing I want to talk a little bit more later on is why, in term when you're building a community, this is super important. Like we all know about developer relations. Developer relations is where an engineer usually goes to an event and presents something, and then expects results to happen, magically. The reality of the fact is that you can't simply, one way do this developer advocacy stuff. It's two-way. At first, you make yourself known. You go with your fancy T-shirt. Like I went with my fancy Toolhouse T-shirt. I introduced the platform. I made everybody sign up for the platform, and then the magic happened, in the sense that people started to build on Toolhouse once they started to get an interest uh, to their project, what they were trying to do, how they were trying to build it, what were the components that were already in the tool store that they could actually just click and install, so they didn't have to code them. And I coming there, I understood that they needed to win the hackathon, and I told them, hey, if you build an end user interface that allows you to get the attention of judges and impress them like that, then that's going to be key. So we help you with the back end, we help you with the cloud, so you don't have to build the back end. So you focused on building the UI, while I or Toolhouse Verso uh, allows you to build the
Not
foundation.
you,
For,
not
yeah,
you.
yeah.
They're building a delightful experience with the help of Toolhouse.
Exactly. Well, but that's the thing. Like, uh, the great thing that happened there was that obviously, the morning was uneventful. We got like basically about like half of the audience signed up to Tool House, which was okay. We didn't
Yeah,
have any specific goal
great.
there, but then obviously no usage happens, and we didn't know whether or not we would even go um, and be useful to anybody. But when I started to talk to them and figure out what they needed, that's where I understood that there's a fundamental problem there. That's it's going to generate the skepticism probably in ATX and other places. The skepticism is born from a lack of understanding of the basics. They
Hmm.
like people want to build agents, but they don't know what an agent really is. I had
Yeah,
also a workshop there for about uh, like 30 minutes. And instead of giving a presentation about Toolhouse, I stopped for a moment and asked anybody, does anybody in the room know what an agent really is? What are the ingredients to an agent? And nobody actually raised their hands. And
right.
so I quickly pulled up a presentation that showed how, like, what an agent was. And an agent is an LLM with a specific prompt that allows the LLM to come up with a plan and to generate some actions. And actions are basically calls to tools or
Yeah,
calls to memory. That's an agent in a nutshell. And then an agent can prepare an output. The output can be given to a human or to another agent.
yeah,
And everybody started to then become very interested. And so I told them, whether you want to build this kind of architecture or not, you have um, you have tools at your disposal, because we are universal, and so you can build on top of pretty much what you want. That was the unlock for them. After that, I started to see more signups and actual usage. I went back into the room, started to talk to those people, and said, "Now do you get how Toolhouse comes into play?" Yes, we started to do some
right.
code together. They didn't know how to set up the tone of voice or the personality for their agent, or certain prompt tricks that we have learned, obviously working on the prompting for the tools. So we shared some of the knowledge with them, fixing some bugs. Shit happens, and with
That's right.
we found some thanks to like good usage, because one great thing about the hackathons is that you get massive usage in spikes because people test very quickly. And
Right. So, was the learning basically that when you go to hackathons, you go there as an educator rather than a salesperson, right? You go there to educate people on some trends, on some new topics, on some new technologies, and then you show them what's possible. You show them the use cases, how they can also do it, which then enables the human mind to say, huh, I want to try that. And so then you hit them with, hey, we can do that with Toolhouse.
that's right. So yeah, that's exactly what happens there. Like, what we do is kind of go to, I mean, it's the usual, like, this is commonplace in developer relations. Like, developers don't like to be sold.
Right.
Developers don't like to talk sales. And obviously it's true, but why that is true? It's true because they want to try things on their own terms, and they want to understand if it matches their key value proposition. Like, if I can grasp this technology very quickly, then I'm confident that I can ship things fast, and I don't have to add more time into my development, which means that I can go faster, which means I can get
Hmm.
out of my office sooner.
Yeah.
And that
Got it.
fundamentally, yeah, that fundamentally is like almost like an emotional connection that you make with the product, similar to what user experience is. Like, I don't think anybody masters that pretty consistently, if I have to be honest. Like, the reason why we love our phones is because we have this attachment to the user experience. We find it
Yeah,
easier or better, and we have that
I would
moment of delight that happens there.
I would
Same,
say
same with an API.
Apple. Yeah, I mean Apple does that, right? Like they always delight their users. That's like their credo or something. Um, what's the what's what's a tech startup, in your opinion, that does that pretty well? Do you have any names? I have a name in mind, maybe two, at least from the DX experience. But do you have anyone that you think of particularly, other than Toolhouse, of course?
No, I let me one of the two, because
Yeah, I
I
would
still feel,
say,
yeah, there's still the need to look at the docs, still the need of uh like do this kind of education, and there's always this lingering feeling that, like, at some point they're going to pull the carpet out of your feet, that they're going to maybe shut down the Discord community, or say, oh, now all developers need to pay. Like, they're not upfront on that side. And
yeah,
when I think about developer experience, I think about all these elements. It's not just the SDK or the docs or the autocomplete on cursor or VS Code. It's more like, how do I, as a developer, then find the first 100 users? I spend $5 on this. Do I get those $5 back reasonably soon? That's
the
developer experience
ROI.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. Is there a word for ROI in developer experience, or is it just called ROI? Or
No, we have different ways, and that's the nature of DevRel. Like, no, nobody, like, there are books out there about DevRel, but nobody has got it right.
hmm
Or and I guess, like, maybe there's no cookie cutter nature to DevRel. Or, I mean, I don't agree to that, to my own statement. I think there is a cookie cutter nature to DevRel, and you'll see things like the time to first $5, or
yeah,
time to,
TTL, right?
yeah,
TTL, right?
yeah. It's more like
Um,
tying to something, and again,
yeah,
there's this speed element that needs to happen both on the
yeah,
implementation side, and then on the, like you said, the return on investment side.
yeah. I think some people call it time to hello world, right? And then there's the other option, which is like time to being implemented and actually bringing the value out.
Uh-huh.
One of the companies that come to mind, although I'm not a super huge fan of them for other reasons, uh, for maybe great marketing they've done in the past, but Resend is that the new basically SendGrid, right, which allows developers to write beautiful emails and send them as well, has a pretty impressive developer experience. And then another one that comes to mind, and they were in the news today, Supabase. Like when I sign up to Supabase, I basically start creating a database in seconds, and then with their SDK, I'm basically copy pasting into my code, and I'm sending data over in a very simple way. Now, why are they so successful? Is it because they've done hard work? I'm sure they did. But the real reality is, like, everybody else in that space was doing a shitty work. So like Firebase, right? Like, is very, very bad in terms of onboarding developers. And so there was a need to create something better. SendGrid, which is part of Twilio, right? Going back to Twilio, poor Twilio. I keep like hammering Twilio. And then Mailgun, like all these other companies have gradually and shittified the developer experience. But anyways, I don't want to talk too
Yeah.
much about.
Don't you
I don't
think
want to talk
that
too much.
the
Yeah,
enshittification needs to happen inevitably at some point?
yeah. Unfortunately, but that's what happens when the people who have the vision, they stop having the vision, or they spend too much time golfing with their friends. So from that perspective, sometimes it's better, you know, and this is kind of controversial, but it's probably better not to go too big. But I mean, this is for another time. Should we talk about our hackathon experience,
Yeah.
our meetups, and move into some, maybe we have some photos to show?
Yeah, let's
Um,
take a look at what happens, and share the results
Yeah,
of the
let's see.
hackathon. So,
Let's
yeah,
see if this helps. Does that help?
that's great. Yeah. So there was an attempt. An attempt was made to take a picture of me and the winners of the hackathon. So there were 5 winners total, and 3 used Toolhouse. That's a
Awesome.
60% success rate, and
There you go.
ah, beautiful. 37% of all the people who made it to the short list for the winner used Toolhouse. That was very good. And again, we basically want to measure our success at hackathons by uh, seeing how many hackathons winners we have. So how many prizes can those
Right.
people win thanks to Toolhouse, and
That's a
that's our
great
success.
KPI.
Yep.
That's a great KPI.
So um, let me tell you a little bit more about those people. One solution was called Sales Wizard AI, and they basically used. Well, I'll tell you first about the solution, then I'll tell you about Toolhouse. Um, their solution is basically an interactive uh, AI-driven pitch. They show that on stage. They basically combine Toolhouse with speech to speech. So first, they got information about the company they wanted to pitch to. Then they got information about the product, and lastly, they obviously mixed everything together to create a compelling narrative and use case, and to train the speech to speech model to make a phone call to a person and answer questions or overcome skepticism. And so that was a very, very impressive demo that they gave. They used Toolhouse obviously to go fast on getting the contents of a web page or searching the internet for solutions or for alternatives um, to that particular product that the assistant or the agent was selling, and to store information about the customer, store information about the company using the memory component. So it was a pretty extensive use of Toolhouse there. And one of the great things was that this company from the Netherlands was building this at a hackathon as a means to like quickly prototype and get the MVP done for a feature that they want to implement. And I talked to
Cool.
them later, and they said, uh, thanks to this, I think basically the bulk of the UI is done because Toolhouse did the rest, and so we are basically about to go to market in the next like 2 to 3 weeks based on what our roadmap schedule is going to be. And that was a great testament to what we did there.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need to hear, right? Like, thanks to Toolhouse, we were able to deliver some feature, some product much faster and at a good, hopefully with a good output quality.
yeah.
So, and the fact that they won is just an extra bonus, I would say, right? It's like great to know.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's always great and good for them,
were there,
obviously.
yeah,
And
were there
I
other pictures that
let me see what I can
were kind
find.
of,
Okay, we'll do some live browsing here. Um, there's just like me in the most awkward positions. I wish we had some of the demos here. Yeah, I think we can find those. We have a ton. Oh my god. Um,
yeah, we can link them or
yeah,
we
we'll
can
link
also
them
edit them. Yeah,
in bio.
below.
But anyway, let me show you those other two projects that won for Toolhouse. This was called Sponsor Skip, and basically it was a team of 3 people who built a Chrome extension that allows you to get into like when you listen to a podcast,
Yeah,
and the podcast has in video promotions, so not the
yeah,
YouTube ads, just the promotions.
yeah.
It allows you to detect whether or not the the host or the podcast is promoting a product, and just skip that
Uh-huh.
and jump to content.
How does
That
it work? Did they explain it?
Yeah. So they first got the transcript from YouTube. Then they put it in memory with Toolhouse, and they used memory
Nice.
because it was easy to and faster to parse the
Oh
transcript.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so their LLM asked the semantic memory search to only return the pieces of the podcast without uh, the the promotion, and the prompt was very very simple. So the LLM was able to ask our LLM, hey, just give me the pieces of the transcript that didn't have sponsoring or promotions, and
Got
it
it.
returned the entire transcript minus the promotion. And so they use that to skip to the piece of content with just the content. And
That's awesome.
that was a great, yeah, that was so basically memory store and memory fetch, semantic memory search, actually, with Toolhouse. Again, super fast. We worked a ton to make sure they understood how the memory component worked behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and they won. Love that. um, Another one was called Llama Press, and WordPress.
Yep.
They're trying to
Who
build a
doesn't?
replacement, yeah, a
Who
replacement
doesn't?
to WordPress, where what they can do is to just chat and like see what's um, like just with plain text, give people a way to build websites. So you can basically do a couple of things. You can say, okay, just like make a cute website that looks like the Apple Store, and then drop a picture of the Apple Store website, and you'll see
Oh wow.
basically, yeah, Llama Press like creating all the components, and then with the chat you can say, oh, okay, just like now make the background like an animated rainbow gradient, something like that, and you'll see things changing in the meantime,
How
because
did they
it's
use Toolhouse?
so they use Toolhouse to process the contents of a web page. So if you said
Uh-huh.
something like make this website like this,
Got it.
and yeah, they will get the contents of the web page using diffbot, and figure out how the website looked like, and then start
That's
from there.
awesome.
Yep. And it was so
Incredible.
fast because they were using Llama, and so that hence the name, um, and that's how it worked. Yep.
That's awesome.
That was
All
amazing. Yep.
right. Cool. Um, let's see. From my side, in Austin, Texas. Let's see. So yesterday, some pretty amazing stuff happened. I was invited to present the Toolhouse platform in front of a nice crowd of 60 or so people at the AI Texas meetup. Um, it was hosted at Google. So
Yeah.
Google usually does not allow people to host events in their space, but this one time, because it was Gemini Day, we, or I would say Google, was able to have their doors open to crowds, including this meetup that's called the AITX meetup, which I've been going since day one. And the two organizers are very nice. And because today was a special day, they said, hey, Orlando, I know you're building Toolhouse. Tomorrow it's a special day. We're going to have a great space. There's going to be a lot of people. Come and explain and show and talk about Toolhouse. And then you also get to have a little booth where you can show and talk to people who are interested. And so that's what I did. I went to the Google big office, the 29th floor. We got lunch. Google did an intro, yada, yada, yada. And then later on in the day, finally, we had the AITX meetup, and we were able to explain what Toolhouse does, how it helps developers, why it's so magic, et cetera, et cetera. And so although we didn't have like a hackathon or anything like that, developers came to my booth and they wanted to see how Toolhouse worked and how it could help them. And luckily we got signups, which is our I have a picture. Let's see if I can show it, or maybe you can, but I have a nice picture of our table setup, which is it's like a double, I don't know what the word is, but you're like not only showing the product, but you're also incentivizing signups.
Hmm.
And here we go. Let's see if I can share this. All right. All right. I'll just share this window here, and then I will.
There you go.
There you go. So as
Great
you can
setup.
see, like,
Somebody said.
yeah, someone's very nice in Slack. And so the idea was, and by the way, that gentleman in the green shirt, he works at Meta, in some interesting department of policy, and have something to do with like the Meta Ray-Bans glasses, etc., etc. And he was very impressed by Toolhouse, and he actually told me that Meta is going to organize a some sort of hackathon, and he would let us know because maybe we can show up and do some, co-partner. I don't know. We'll see. But little like just dropping it out there that Meta was interested, at least through this
Yep.
gentleman, and so that was very good for me amongst all the other cool things. But I think the importance here of this picture is that not only you get to see the product, but you also have this call to action, which is like, scan the QR code and join our beta. And so a lot of people were really impressed. Many people came, took pictures. Actually, at one point, they also started taking a picture of my private API key, which I had shown to some people who were interested in seeing code of how Toolhouse works as the SDK. And I had of course, I reset the API key after the night, but it was interesting how people were really excited about, oh, look, there's an API key. Let me just go into it. That
Things
shows how developers are,
things that
right?
things
Like,
our lawyer makes us say. Yes, we did reset our
yeah,
private API key. Don't
of
worry.
course. We definitely did. That was my first thing as soon as I got home. And I was like, like, oh man, my API key, I'm going to have to change it everywhere now. Not just in my environment, but in all the other places where I hard coded my API key. But, anyways, point being, it was a very successful night. This was our first AI Toolhouse. Sorry, this was our first Toolhouse opportunity in Austin, and so that was very exciting, and or at least official, I would say, right, where Toolhouse was actually presenting. And so it went pretty well. I'm very excited to do more, and that's my little part of the story on events with developers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Takeaways from the night, like where what can we do better? And I think I'll start with SF, and I think it's going to be probably true across the board. But you'll tell me, like
yeah,
the education piece. There's still like to me, what shocked me was really seeing a guy in the room who brought his own GPU,
wow,
and through Olama started to serve the model on the GPU that was an SLM through through that, and we tried to also make Toolhouse work there, and it worked. So
no way.
that was great.
He brought
That's
his own GPU. That's
yep.
incredible.
So that was like on one extreme. On the other extreme, you had somebody who approached AI for the first time, or started to approach AI since like a year or so, still struggling on the basics, like what prompt should I use? Should
Mm,
or they only do chains because that's the only thing they read on the internet, and that is still a high barrier of entry for everybody out there because they only know what they know, and so holding their hands, giving them the guidance they need, sometimes in a way that doesn't scale. Like I sat
yeah,
down with a ton of people and just like reviewed their prompts, and there wasn't obviously the Toolhouse prompts. There were those their apps prompts, and telling them, hey, this is great, or you should change this, and this, then try it together and say that it worked. High five. You made friends for life in terms of the customer, and that shows the legitimacy of what we're at. So, but it highlights that there's a huge challenge there, like when everybody tries to like lock people into a framework or a pattern fresh out of research that may not work in real life. There's people out there that are actually trying to build something that's meaningful and valuable, and they struggle. They cannot, just because they don't understand the basics. So if we help them out, then we get everybody to embrace AI. And by the way, this doesn't happen only at the individual developer level. That happens at the enterprise level. I spoke to people there that were working at large companies. Even yesterday, we had a meetup, and there was somebody from Wells Fargo, and he told me what other CTOs told me before, even in customer validation, that they do still things in prompt. They do not do things that now can be done through like normal means. I'm not talking about tools. I'm talking about JSON mode, for example. They still do JSON mode in
Structured
prompt.
output.
Yeah, structured outputs.
Mm.
They still do it in prompt, and it's the insanity. Why? Because everything, because they don't have time, or they don't have the
Everything moves
means.
too
Yeah,
fast, right?
to go and
Yeah.
catch up. That's right. So
Education, education, education,
yeah.
education.
So if we make it simple for people to access this technology without them getting to the nitty gritty of the technology itself, then we solve this huge problem for everybody. And if things just work, then they'll make the jump. So I think that's
Right.
my takeaway.
Perfect.
Yeah. What was your
Yeah.
takeaway?
My takeaway was a little bit more tactical. I saw people struggle to not only understand some parts of function calling, right? They were like, what exactly is function calling? Why didn't I not hear of this before? So again, the education, but there was also like some things that we can do better in terms of onboarding people to the product, and specifically with Apple Pay and some other stuff that it wasn't just like super straightforward for people like to use. And what I mean by that, because we did run a promotion where we were, exchanging credits. We were giving like a lot of credits for a set fee, but people were not able to like really check out super quick. And so I think if we can figure out how to smooth that out, that kind of like resonated with me, where it's like, yeah, that's kind of a weird experience. And I don't want to blame Lemon Squeezy, which is who we're using for our payment processing, but yeah, there's probably some tactical things we can improve there. But on a more high level, Austin is even less educated on certain things than the Bay Area. And so I think, we keep talking about education. I think that's something that we need to consider, how we can do that so that everybody has the same knowledge to start playing the game. And that's going to be interesting. Probably a topic for another time, right? Like developer education. um,
Yep.
all
Can't wait.
right, any last remarks?
No, no. I'm
All
tired,
right.
but I'm the kind of tired when you finish like a very nice workout. That's kind of the tired I am. I just love it. Can't
i
wait
can
to get into the next
I can
workout.
imagine.
Yeah,
I
no,
can,
it's
yeah.
great. But again, this is also a topic for another conversation. Like getting into, I wish like I could bring a camera or like simulate an interaction with developer relations. But also in the next podcast, we're trying to bring in the winners of the hackathon, so you'll hear directly from them how they use Toolhouse, what they like to do next, and yeah, get a hold of those companies as well. So until next time.
All righty. See you later. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's right.